I decided to raise it up to 12K, and he calls. The turn is another king, so we have quads.
Let's crush.
So today the 5K 6 max. That's gonna be a fun tournament. We're both gonna hop in.
Game time.
Food prep is done. I'm very excited to play this one. We got some nice steaks, some burgers with cheese, fruits. Yeah, not gonna eat that shit at the casino. It's full with seed oils and whatnot. All that crap, overpriced crap. So we got some proper food. I expect this 5K 6 max to be really loose and aggressive. When I played this in Vegas 2014, I always feel like people go bananas as if it's heads up. It's 9-handed just without the earlier positions. So it's, yeah, people freak out completely, ridiculous plays. You can always sense like, oh, it's 6 max, we have to call wider, we have to hero call wider. So yeah, gonna take that into consideration. I mean, maybe it has changed, but I don't think so. Yeah, we will see. And now we're getting ready and then we're heading to the casino, and then hopefully this time we're going to be able to run deeper. So far 3 tournaments, the tag team, the Millie Maker, and the Salute to the Warrior, and nothing has really worked so far. I mean, 3 tournaments, right? It's sample size, but yeah, of course would like to have a deep run, but and the 3K freezout. No, I played 4 tournaments, yeah, but I expect this one to be the 5K also, where it comes down to a bit more methodical approach in a lot of these situations, at least more than in the other tournaments where you just had like a lot of very unexperienced players, and you just play your cards, you just play your opponents, and that's pretty much it. And you don't need to start with blockers or balancing. I mean, you should never really do that, right? But it's even more exploitative. I had situations where I would check call, I made my hand on the river, donk. They would never fold top pair. I remember one guy on my table in the Salute to Warrior, he's like, you win, but he still wants to see in calls. Right? He told me, I know you're going to win, but I want to see. And if you start checking, they're not going to go thin for value. They check back. They're too scared. They're not going to have these insane, unnatural bluffs that a solver would do. And if you would note look this whole tree that he has such a low betting frequency, you would just check, right? And that's the majority of these live players. So if you play live, you have to mix up a lot of these lines that you would usually not do online. Check call, donk river is one of them, even if you hit your flush, right? These typical fish lines, but they're actually really good. They're really powerful and very important. So yeah, I think it's important to also have a good table today. Then we see. I'll keep you guys updated. So let's head over to the casino.
Oh, middle. Famous last words for the 6 max?
Let's fucking go. Patience today, patience. They're gonna be punting it off. Hello.
Hi.
So just jumped in the 5K, had a pretty good start. Chipped up from 50K to now 80K. Won a couple of pots, so good start. We had 200, 300, so gonna be playing 250 big blinds. Got a pretty good table as well, I think. So yeah, let's make it count this time.
Playing poker queens out of position in a 4-bet pot really sucks, especially in a big tournament. Button open raises, I 3-bet to 3,200, blinds are 200, 400, button open raise to 800, so we make it 4x. Now, the button tanks for a little bit and 4-bets to around 8,500 chips. We're both relatively deep, we're both playing over 100 big blinds, so 5-betting or going all in is an option, but I didn't have any reads on him, so I just went with a more conservative line of just calling and playing the pot out of position. The flop comes pretty alright, ace 10, suits aren't really relevant. He bets small with 16K, 17K in the middle, I think he bets 5K. We call, and now we have around 25K, 26K in the middle. The turn is a 9. I think if he barrels, I might call one more time. But it's very, very close. We're not gonna have that many ace-x in our range. We would 3-bet fold ace-jack. We have some ace-queens and ace-kings certainly in our range. Ace-king, I would certainly just sometimes jam. It works a lot better as a jam than as a call, because he might be 4-betting some jacks and 10s that would fold to a jam. Anyway, Goes check, check. The river is a jack. So now ace, ace, jack 10, 9. We check and he bets around half pot. I think 12, 13, 14K, something in that region. I've played plenty of hands. I don't remember everything. And we have a couple of options. I don't mind jamming. The question is, what kinds of hands is he 4-betting with? And initially, my options were shoving or folding, turning my hand into a bluff, blocking some random king queens, blocking ace queens. But the longer I thought about it, I think king queen just always calls, ace queen always calls. And I also think being that deep, and especially in a soft tournament, a somewhat decent regular would not 4-bet ace king here very often. So he's very limited towards hands like ace 5 suited, ace 4 suited. Some of them would either check back or even bet and bet turn if he bets to get value from kings, queens, or jacks, right? To also avoid a tough river decision and to check it back. So this bet check bet line doesn't really seem that strong to me. Also, what is really good, his 4-bets contain a lot of king X hands, something like king 7 suited, king 8 suited, king 5 suited, king 4 suited. These are the typical hands people like to 4-bet bluff. His value range is also very narrow, but also his bluff range is very narrow. However, we don't block any from those potential bluffs. So that's why I decided to flick in the hero call and moved away from shoving, which I think makes no sense with queens. It would make sense with kings actually to turn our hands into a bluff to get him off a weak trip hand, which he could definitely bet fold or even a straight, because we just shove full houses for value. I would only do that if I think my opponent is somewhat solid. I do want to have a few bluffs here because we're going to have massive amount of value hands. We're going to have ace 9, ace 10, ace jack suited, which we're supposed to call against the 4-bet. We have jacks, we have 10s, we have 9s, we have all those boats in our range, and also the occasional quads as a slow play. So we have way more value hands on this board. So we do want to have some bluffs, and I think having maybe a king jack suited or pocket kings is actually not that bad, blocking the ace king combos that I think he will end up calling. So I ended up calling because I think he does not have that many ace-x in his range. And also suited ace-x hands, usually people call, don't 4-bet bluff with them. So based on my experience on high stakes, of course, mostly on, and I see more suited king-x being 4-bet bluffed. And we're good. He shows the king 5 in clubs, and we scooped a nice pot.
It'll be fun though.
Oh,
Der Cash Game Legend.
hello. Steffen Sondheimer, let's
Moin.
go in the mix.
So how's your stack?
Like 42. Didn't get much going,
42.
but I keep trying.
He doesn't even count his
no.
chips. He said, I won 8-9 pots. So much you won. I don't know. Yeah, it's not that
I
important.
cover everybody. I'm deep. It's fine.
We are on a break. Unfortunately, I'm down to like 35 big blinds now. I lost most of the smaller pots. Then I lost one 3-bet pot with a pocket pair, turned open and straight to our barrel. And then I went for a bluff in a 3-bet pot, raised the river. Did not go through, and now we're down to 35 big blinds. It's a very up and down roller coaster, that 6-max. You play a lot of hands, you play a lot of pots, and ranges are quite loose, a lot of tough decisions. So, yeah. Not really hitting anything, none of my draws arriving. So yeah, we either spin it up now or we re-enter. You know how it goes. Kindergarten suckouts. Re-rebuy, we go again.
Whoopsie, Ben got him.
Alright, Jack 7's aces. Oh, runner. Easy. 10.
Let's go. We get pocket queens in the 5K WSOP 6-max event. We got a little bit short here with 30-35 big blinds. We open it up with queens, small blind 3-bets, and big blind goes all in. I mean, we have a pretty easy decision here with queens. However, I would always tank for a little bit. Maybe small blind makes a mistake and overcalls pocket jacks or 10, which of course an easy fold with that action. I think jacks would be my bottom, jacks and ace king, because I think the big blind is shoving ace queen plus, jacks plus, maybe 10s plus, and with this someone potentially waking up with a hand, I think I would fold 10s, and again would call jacks plus and ace king. We get it in, big blind wakes up with jacks, and we get the full double up, and now we're playing 70 big blinds, which is of course at this stage of the tournament, nearing towards the end of day one, pretty sweet. So we have a good shot to end the day one with a pretty nice stack.
Tim Tom's in a big hand here, two legends fighting against each other. You want to say
exciting.
something? You're a true entertainer. Knossi would be jealous.
Maybe.
Look at this knit.
I faced a pretty ugly turn decision, facing a check raise all in for my turn element live on a very disgusting board. And we have pocket kings. We start with 25 big blinds in the cutoff. Blinds are 1,000, 2,000. I raise to 4,000, small blind calls, a recreational player, and the big blind, a pretty aggressive opponent, calls as well. Flop comes Jack 10, 8. We definitely want to be betting here, not too big. There are a lot of hands that have us already beat, so we want them to continue with the hands that actually have very little equity, something like Ace 10, King 10, that against a big bet would usually fold, especially from the small blind. That's why we want to choose a smaller sizing. You're not going to get them to fold Jack 9, 8, 9 anyway if you go for bigger sizing. So my goal is to keep those hands in that I actually have tremendous equity against. Turn brings a double flush draw. We have the flop flush draw, as well as now the turn flush draw. We block the backdoor flush draw. We have the hearts. It's like a low card, a 4 or 5. Now villain checks, and now we go for a big bet. And we bet around 16K. We have around 30, 35K behind, and he decides to check jam on me. Now, of course, there are a lot of combo draws possible. The problem though is that against his two pairs and against the straights, we're drawing dead. Some few sets, pocket eights. I've seen some crazy shit where people are playing scared, not getting in with 10s pre-flop. So I definitely see a slim chance of him having 10s. It makes a lot of sense to just call in the small blind on the flop and not raise, because you want the big blind to give action, right? If you raise, you just get him out of the pot. He might bluff raise with some 9x, some draws, and then you can join over the top. So it makes a lot of sense for him to still have all the good hands in his range. However, since there's a double flush draw, he can have the ace jack with a flush draw, he can have the king jack with a flush draw, queen jack with a flush draw. He can have so many combo draws that I just decided, all right, we have to go with this one. And I decided to call, and he shows me the king 10 off. That was a bit out of line, a bit wide. Of course, that's the best possible hand we can see because he's down to 2 outs. We hold, and we're back to over 100K at this point, around 50 bigs, and we were playing the second last level. So good chance to back a decent stack at the end of day one. So pocket 10s, we have around 90K, 100K. We raise it up to 2.5K, and he 3-bets like between 3.5 and 4x. So, and he was playing around 35 big blinds, and below 40, I start considering shoving. Above 40, I'm mostly calling unless someone is really, really aggressive and he just has way too many 3-bet folds. And he came to the table relatively new. However, the table has been playing quite aggressively. So I just thought in this spot, he can still have king jack offs, queen jack offs, even something like jack 9 suited has decent amount of equity against us. There is a slim chance he's 3-bet calling pocket 9s. I feel like I'm actually surprised that there are quite some people that know me here and are overplaying the hands massively, like value hands and pre-flop, and thinking I'm stacking off with pocket 3s for 350 big blinds or some shit like that. I didn't know this dude in particular, but I think 10s is just a little bit better shoving, and then pocket 8s, pocket 9s calling is fine, because we start blocking 10s, which is also going to be one of his 3-bet calling hands. And the table was pretty bad considering the field. The 5K 6 max is still a very soft 5K tournament, but I had a really tough table for the most part of the tournament, or for the most part of day one. So ended up jamming into pocket jacks. Fortunately, dropped down to around 60K. We're still playing around 40-50 bigs, which was fine. But yeah, just an unlucky cooler.
So last two levels of the day, level 9 and level 10. We're currently at 60k. I met a nice friend here from Canada, and yeah, 2 more levels up and down. I'm cruising around 1600k. Blinds are now up to 800, 1.6k. So I have around 40, 50 bigs. And let's close these two levels and make it to day 2. So yeah, we're home, backed 51,000 with a 50,000 starting stack. It's always good, you know, grinding for what, 12 hours for a 1,000 chips gain. But yeah, it is what it is. Tomorrow, day 2 in the 5k 6 max. JR unfortunately busted. He's sitting on the couch crying. Do you need a few more tissues?
Should I give him a bad beat story or something?
Yeah. So I'm gonna be returning tomorrow 20 bigs. Was just up and down, 120k, 40k, 120k, 40k, kind of just in the big pots. Draws didn't get there, couldn't really evaluate anything, so just a lot of non-showdown poker, and here and there just few all-ins, but mostly the big pots didn't go my way. And then at the end, jammed 10s into jacks, and then grinded my way back up from 40 or 30, even 30k. I was down to 30k, and then won a couple of smaller pots again up to now 51k, and then the day was over. So tomorrow, day 2, I have to spin it up, and I go to bed now. I'm completely destroyed. All right, day 2 of the 5k 6 max. We have to spin it up, 20 big blinds. Let's fucking go.
This is our table, this is our seat.
But I've seated to my right. Let's go.
Let's go.
Making quads at the beginning of day 2 in a $5,000 WSOP tournament. Button open raises, so I call and the flop comes king, king, queen. He bets 4k into 12k, which is a little bit on the bigger size. I think 3k, 1/4 on this texture is totally enough. And I decided to raise it up to 12k, and he calls. The turn is another king, so we have quads. So I decided now I want to bet small with my entire range. If I have a flush draw, if I have jack 10, because if he's on a flush draw, if he's on a jack 10, if he's on an ace jack, his gut shot odds, his straight odds are not live anymore if I have full house or quads. Of course, I will give up a decent amount of my hands because I'm not going to have that many pocket pairs. He's going to have pocket 8s, pocket 9s, pocket 10s, which are still quite strong on this board, which I don't have anymore. So I bet small. Of course, I also want to give him a good price to continue with something like ace jack, ace 10. He calls. And on the river, we jam our remaining around 35,000 chips. So our 14 big blinds, 13 big blinds that we have left. And he makes the call. And he gets to see the bad news. And we double up early on from 50k to 100,000, which at this point was around 40 big blinds. Thank you. After I doubled up with the quads, I faced another crazy hero call. Long story short, I opened the cutoff, big blind 3 bets. We play 100k effectively, 40 big blinds. I call the 3 bet. Shoving is fine, but I didn't have any options, any information on this opponent. So I choose the option of calling. Flop comes queen jack 4. He snap X pre-flop. He snap acted on the flop. I was a bit suspicious. If he has ace king, well, I still can get enough value on the turn and river. So I check back. Turn is a blank 4, and I decide to bet 2/3 because I think people have a hard time folding their ace kings. If he has 10s, then so be it. But I put him on ace king mostly after he chooses this line. He calls pretty quickly, and the river is a safe card, a 3 offsuited 3, and I jam, and he didn't even tank that long, maybe 30 seconds, and he ended up calling ace king high. I don't know what these people are doing, but it's just absolutely insanity, the hero calls that I'm seeing here left and right. I would have jammed pretty thin for value on the river, if I have to be honest. I think any queen, maybe even ace jack, because I expect people just to be sticky. And now we're up to 200k, we're cooking. We started with 20 big blinds, we're now almost up to 100, actually more like 80 big blinds, but definitely a pretty good stack.
I get ace king suited in the small blind and I face a disgusting 4-bet. Cut off the big stack on the table, plays over 150 big blinds, open raises, button calls, no information on him. We have ace king suited, clear decision, we want to squeeze. He raised to 5k, button call 5k, blinds are 1,000, 2,500. We squeeze to 24,000 and then cutoff decides to 4-bet to 48,000. Now we have more than 70,000 chips in the middle, which is around 1/3, more than 1/3 of our entire stack. In softer tournaments, lower buy-ins, I would tend to call because I don't see people 4-bet bluffing. But in late positions these days, I feel like it's so easy to bluff, so easy to be out of line. I mean, from a theoretical standpoint, it's a no-brainer jam. It's just a cooler. I decided to jam. He woke up with aces. We at least had a sweat. There was the queen jack on the flop, but no help whatsoever. And after actually spitting it up nicely from 50k to 200k in less than one level, we were out pretty quickly within the first level of day 2. And we had to hit the rail. And it was not that far away from the money anymore, but nothing we could do, and we still have not cashed a tournament yet.
Jumping into the 1k super bounty, we got the chips, 30 bigs, $300 bounty, so it's just a super, no progressive bounty. So we're gonna be hunting at the beginning, and later on they don't really matter anymore. Let's go.
Open ace king, we have 25 bigs. To my left chords, we open from another gun. And this is a hand I would have probably folded on the first day. But from what I've seen, the way people play their value hands, it's absolutely insane. It's also a bounty tournament, so we have a 20k stack and our bounty is worth around 7k in chips. So there's a lot of dead money in the middle for those who cover us. And of course, it's hard to judge how much they are aware of it. But, so we raise. I also raised 3.5x, of course. I'm a greedy motherfucker. And he calls, flop comes ace jack 9. I bet, I just want to go bet. Stack ace queen, stack ace 10, stack random suited aces that peel. People call ridiculous hands. It's live poker, right? Turn jack, dry board. So I bet again and he rips. And I just said to Jer, if it would have been day 1, I would have probably folded. Because it's mostly just someone being, I don't know. But I've seen too much shit. People overplaying their ace-x, like ripping hands they're never supposed to raise. Completely insane. And there's only one combo of king, 2 combos of queen jack suited, and there's all the ace queen offs and ace 10. I've even seen pocket 7s jamming this one. It's like, yeah, somehow he ends up having it. He has king jack suited. We're walking now home, just trying to on this strip. So we walk for 10 meters, I think like 10 minutes, and then we grab an Uber